Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC show. I'm your host, Paul Krieger, and I'm joined this week by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger.
Hello.
DVC fan contributor and moderator in the DVC fan Facebook group, Ryan Chung.
Hello.
Also a very familiar contributor and moderator over in the group, Lauren De La Cruz.
Hello.
And I think we've had a couple articles from time to time by this man, Mr. Jeff Haslam.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you all for joining us this week for the show. We are embarking on another one of our DVC Resort Spotlights where we share all of the things we love or maybe don't love about a specific Disney Vacation Club property. And this week we are talking about what I would, call a pretty big fan favorite, the Boardwalk Villas.
Yep.
So thank you all for joining and tuning in. If you love all of this content that we have at DVC Fan, this is brought to you by the world of DVC, DVC Resale Market, where if you're looking to maybe buy a Boardwalk Villas contract or sell your Boardwalk contract because you don't need it anymore, they can help you out with that. Monera Financial, where they can help you with financing that Disney Vacation Club resale purchase, and the DVC Rental Store, where you can try before you buy, rent out some points, or rent your own points if you're not going to use them this year. So please show some love for our sponsors. But on to the main topic at hand, Boardwalk Villas. And I thought there was no better way to sort of start this off than quick and dirty, go around the room and get everyone's raw, honest opinion on the Boardwalk. And no one knows where I'm going to go first. Jeff, tell us what you think of the Boardwalk.
I'm a big fan. I have very few bad things to say about the Boardwalk. I love it there.
Ryan.
It might be an unpopular opinion. I love the location, but every room I've been in smells musty, and I'm not a fan.
Hopefully they're going to fix that soon. We'll get into that a little bit later. Laura, what are your thoughts on the Boardwalk?
It's my favorite of our home resorts. There's nothing like that location along Crescent Lake. And I love the views. That boardwalk view, I forgot how nice it was until we had our last trip. And you could see Epcot fireworks right from your balcony. It was lovely.
Amy?
I can't get over the musty thing. I've never really felt that. It's the best resort. That's it. That's the end of the show. Like, good night, guys.
Good night, folks. We'll see you next week. I'm definitely a big Boardwalk fan myself. I do get Ryan's point when it comes to the mustiness, especially because there was a big water leak. So maybe you were in that area where there was a water leak about a year ago or so that kind of drenched an entire floor. So who knows what that's doing behind the drywall and behind the plaster and everything. But hopefully that's going to be addressed pretty soon. But I think it's great that we kind of have a nice, well-rounded approach here to, we've got some, Boardwalk fans, some people that own. I believe that both ourselves and Lauren own at Boardwalk. Jeff, Ryan, you guys don't have Boardwalk points, correct?
No.
Not yet, but I'm looking.
Not yet, but he's looking.
He's on the prowl.
We'll see if we can get Jeff to buy a Boardwalk contract before the end of this show. So stay tuned and see how that turns out. But I thought we just really highlight some of the overall things about the Boardwalk that people love, and then maybe near the end talk about what are some things that maybe are some cons or some things that the Boardwalk could improve on. And I think the thing that most people come back to time and time again is the Boardwalk's location around Crescent Lake. It's extremely popular. You're right there by Epcot. You've got Hollywood Studios right there as well. But for us, I know it just is, it's a resort that reminds us a lot of someplace that we've always vacationed, which is, the Wildwood, New Jersey area, or Cape May, New Jersey. So southern New Jersey, those towns, Atlantic City, places that are very popular because of that Boardwalk feel that they have to them.
Yeah. And I think that maybe that's one of the reasons that we love it so much is that, when Paul and I were first dating, he took me to the Jersey Shore, and it just reminds me, we spent a lot of time walking around the boardwalk, playing the sketchy games, just really love that feel of that just turn of the century, Atlantic City type resort. And I just love all the little historic things that are inside there. But you were talking about the location, and it just can't be beat. You can walk to two parks, and Epcot is right there. Hollywood Studios is really not that far. And then if you want to, you can hop on the Skyliner. You can go over to Riviera. You can go over to, Pop Century, Art of Animation. I always just like being able to expand, where I can go and explore without having to take like a Disney bus. And I love that I can do that at Boardwalk.
Lauren, I know that you're another person that's sort of bought into Boardwalk. What is sort of your story, or what made you love it so much that you were like, gotta have points at this resort?
It's funny, when we first started looking at DVC and becoming a member, I think I told my guide it was going to be like beach club or bust. I really thought I was going to buy in at the beach club. I ended up falling in love with the Boardwalk. It's got that same great location, but I think the big distinguishing factor was the points chart and the views. Just having, be at the standard points that are just really hard to beat, especially in the low point season. I mean, studio is close to like 9 points some parts of the year.
Yep.
It's so hard to beat that. And then, as I was saying in the intro, the Boardwalk view rooms were so nice. Like, I know Beach Club is just across the way, but most of the rooms over there, you're just kind of looking out at trees or sometimes like the side of the building. There's not much of a view. I felt like the Boardwalk just gave more of that ambiance and theming.
Jeff, since you're someone that's kind of considering Boardwalk at this point, what have you kind of fallen in love with over at that resort?
Yeah, so for me, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but when I first started to go into Disney World, I came from out west. Disneyland was my home park. It took me a long time to like fully understand Disney World. I still go there and I don't know where things are like in relation to other things. But the point of this is I didn't even know the Boardwalk existed until about 6 or 7 years ago. We were always at Pop Century, and so we were taking the bus through the front entrance of Epcot, and we'd made a dining reservation over at Trattoria, and it was like a whole new world that I never even knew about. So that kind of started it, but what really solidified it was this last spring break. We brought our stepdaughter and her friend, and we stayed there for a full week. And I just really don't want to stay anywhere else anymore. I love the ambience of the Boardwalk. I love the restaurants, the night streetmosphere, performers, the general store, like everything about it. I just fell in love with the whole area. I'll stay there 10 times before I'll stay at Beach Club.
Ryan, mustiness aside, you mentioned, I think on a previous show, the Hollywood Studios was one of your favorite parks. So I've got to say that maybe if that gets fixed, maybe you'll fall a little bit more in love with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I absolutely love being able to walk to two parks, right? I own a beach club, right? So I know being able to walk to Epcot and walk to Hollywood Studios. The walk from Boardwalk to Hollywood Studios is a lot better. And so I definitely think the location can't be beat. I really like the location, and similar to Amy, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I do like the theming. It's funny when Lauren said, that she was dead set on Beach Club and decided on Boardwalk. We were actually the opposite. I was dead set on Boardwalk and then ended up falling in love with Beach Club. So it's kind of funny.
It's funny. We have a similar story. We were in disagreement, and Paul wanted Boardwalk and I wanted Beach Club, and so we stayed at both, right? In the same weekend, we did a few nights at Beach Club, and then we moved over to Boardwalk, and that's where I was like, okay, I get it now. Like Boardwalk, and it's just what Lauren said. Like you've got those Boardwalk view rooms, whereas Beach Club is kind of tucked in, behind the main building. It just kind of feels like an afterthought over there. Not that we don't love Beach Club, because we do, but Boardwalk, the villas over there, just feel like kind of like the main event of that whole resort. They're the beautiful, colorful side of the buildings. You know what I mean? It makes you kind of proud to be a DVC member. Like, that's my building right there. And so I absolutely love Boardwalk. And there's just so much around it. There's just so much great. I know that Boardwalk gets kind of a little bit of a bad rap for not having, there's not really a quick service like inside while you're inside the lobby to get to. And, there's no real restaurants that you still have to go outside to get to everything, but just such close distance to not only the great restaurants in the Boardwalk, but, You can walk over to Swan and Dolphin, and there's a ton of great dining over there. You can walk over to Yacht Club and Beach Club, and just really right over to Epcot. So you're just so close. If you are a DVC foodie, like Boardwalk is just a great place to stay.
Yeah, and that's a great segue kind of into our next topic on the boardwalk, which is kind of the amenities and dining that are throughout that area, and also kind of boardwalk adjacent that are kind of around everything there. One that I know that we've gone to multiple times now, and we actually went with Lauren one time, is Flying Fish. That is a perennial favorite. And Lauren, I think still probably one of your favorite restaurants?
Yeah, I think it's definitely at least the top three. I know that changes quite often, but I always love going there. Never had a bad meal. I feel like the service is always great, and I'm kind of a sucker for their scallops. I think I get that nearly every time I go there, but it's so consistently good.
I'm a sucker for like the little tablet thing that they give you to put into the water, and it turns into like a little wet nap. I don't know, that starts off the meal perfect for me. I don't need food after that. It's like I got dinner and a show. So
my kids love that too. They're amazed by it every time we go.
I'm a kid at heart, Ryan. What can I say? Jeff, what kind of dining or establishments around the boardwalk have you enjoyed?
I honestly like everything that the boardwalk has. I love Trattoria. It's my favorite place on property for breakfast, hands down. And I enjoy it for dinner as well. And it's really easy to get a reservation there. And that speaks to, it's not anything against the food. Like, I've never had a bad meal there. And so just the fact that you leave Epcot and you're trugging back to your room and you decide you want to grab some food, it's pretty easy to get in there. The pizza window is great. I love Flying Fish. The Boardwalk Deli is really growing on me. And it's interesting. We just did a review of Turf Club, and we talked about how they kind of phoned it in there because Disney Springs is so close, and they don't seem to really give it a lot of thought. Boardwalk could have done the same thing with its proximity to Epcot. They could have really phoned that in, but they didn't. Like, I don't think there's a bad restaurant there. I love it.
Yeah. That's so true. Being so close to Epcot, and there's still so many great places. And I'm with Lauren. I dream about the scallops at Flying Fish. They're so good. It's probably the best scallop dish I've ever had. But yeah, there's so much great things. The Boardwalk Deli, I'm glad you said it's grown on you. I think that place is awesome. It used to be the Boardwalk Bakery, but then they changed it to Boardwalk Deli. Changed the menu up a little bit, and there's some really great stuff over there. That sandwich, I still love it. It's been like a year since I've had it. Ever since I mentioned it on a DVC fan show, people keep asking me about it. I've actually not had it since, oh gosh, I can't remember. And since we wrote that review
since
like a year
opened,
ago. Yeah. And my birthday is coming up in a few weeks. And we're staying at the Boardwalk for the weekend. And I told Paul, I was like, I am getting that sandwich. That Friday during the day, I took the day off work. I'm getting that sandwich.
This conversation legitimately just happened today. And she was like, we're going early. You can work in the car. I'll drive us up, and we're having lunch there. And I said, as long as I can get pictures of you and the sandwich and maybe do a little review, I'm all on board. Whatever you need to get your sandwich.
It's been like a year. Yeah, I have not been reunited yet. So
Ryan, as an owner at Beach Club, I'm sure that the restaurants and things at the Boardwalk are familiar to you. Any big favorites from your family?
Yeah, I just like others have said, Trattoria Al Forno. Actually, Trattoria Al Forno during in 2020 had a lot of the food at Flying Fish, and I remember the scallops being an add-on for I want to say it was like $15, was amazing. And the scallops also are really good at Flying Fish. The one thing that I like is that because it is Skyliner accessible, you could also go to Topolino's relatively easily, taking the Skyliner from Epcot over to Riviera. And I think it's just one stop to get over there. And then, of course, Beaches and Cream over at Beach Club is one of my favorites. Gotta love the ice cream and the kitchen sink, of course.
There's just so much good dining. I think we could make an entire show about talking about everything that's adjacent to the boardwalk or that's relatively close to the boardwalk that we could stuff our mouths with. And that being said, there's a lot of new stuff that is coming to the boardwalk as well. We have the cake bake shop that is currently underway. we walked by there recently, and I feel like they haven't done anything there.
I know, I'm
for
a little worried.
bit. I'm a little bit worried about the cake bake shop. It seems like a super cute concept, and we always wanted to do kind of the afternoon tea at the Grand Floridian, and I know that's going to be one of the concepts that is part of the cake bake shop, is sort of that tea and sandwich vibe. So I really hope that it's still moving forward. They've still got it, on the display walls outside. I just feel like it's looked like a shell, rest in peace ESPN Club. It's been quite a shell for some period of time, and I thought it was supposed to originally open later this year or early next year. So
Yeah.
they're going to need to get on working on that very, very quickly. The Boardwalk Deli is a new addition that recently came. One that I am super excited about, Blue Ribbon Corn Dogs, is actually coming into the Boardwalk to go place. Have any of you ever had this out in Disneyland?
I have, yeah.
Jeff, tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about Blue Ribbon Corn Dogs, and please tell me that you got the pickle dog.
So I didn't, but my Amy did, and the pickle dog with the peanut butter dipping sauce, and yeah, that's a whole thing. She loved it in a weird way. It's hard to explain, but to be honest with you, I'm actually not a corn dog fan. So the fact that the Blue Ribbon Corn Dog got me to even eat one in the first place, and then I've eaten it multiple times, should really speak to how good they are. I'm excited for this as well to come out to the East Coast.
I didn't know anything about this place until it was just going to come to Boardwalk. But I'm so glad to have something new.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited about it. And I really hope the cake bake shop comes. Also, we forgot that they opened that new coffee shop inside the lobby area. It's small, but it's something that wasn't there at all before. So it's nice to have like things like that and more amenities, coming to the resorts, more little stands like the corn dog place. I really like that margarita stand. Is it Joe's Margaritas? Yeah, they have some fun little drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah, something.
Well, and even speaking of drinks, even Bellevue Lounge, where we actually first met the first time, and then Abracadabra is a fun little place to take people. I don't know. I'm all about it.
We're going to get you that contract before the end of the show. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. The other thing, and I do want to go back to Jeff here. So Jeff said he loved everything about the entertainment and the food that was in the Boardwalk area. And so that means, Jeff, that you absolutely love the Atlantic Dance Hall. Is that correct?
I think he's the only one of all of us that has gone in there.
I've actually gone in.
potentially,
We've gone in.
Okay. during the trick or treat.
We went during the trick or treat event.
That doesn't count. I mean,
Same.
go in there with the intention of busting a move.
Wait, Timothy and I actually went in there on a random night just to see what was it like.
Did you dance?
Not really. We kind of
No.
went in. It was dead in there, and we kind of went out within 10 minutes, but it was just funny to see because it's a beautiful venue.
It is, and I feel like they could do so much more with it than just put a DJ in and 3 people dancing. But I also hear that it's very hit or miss. It's either there's 2 people busting a move or there's 50.
It depends on conferences. That's in Swan and Dolphin.
Yeah, it is. It is a beautiful space and totally underutilized. They could do so much more with it, I think. But honestly, I talked to the bartender. I've been in there twice. Once
He went
against
back.
my will, once on purpose. And like you said, it is very hit and miss. But the bartender says if there's a conference happening at either the Swan and Dolphin or at Beach and Yacht Club, the place is happening. If not, it's the same 3 people that go every weekend. That's their local getaway. So, but one night we went, there was a conference in town there, and the place was packed. They even opened the upstairs. So there's probably
Oh
300.
wow!
Oh, wow.
And it was actually really, really fun.
So you have to go during the conferences.
Ryan's being too quiet. He's either a regular at the Atlantic Dance Hall or something.
I've only been to the Atlantic Dance Hall, just like you, for the DVC Halloween event that they had last year. It just so happened, I think we were staying at Beach Club, and since we were already there, we might as well have stopped by, and we got our pictures with the characters, and that's it.
Yep. And the Atlantic Dance Hall often gets overshadowed by, of course, Jelly Rolls, which is the dueling piano bar that is there. And we've been to Jelly Rolls once or twice. It's been an absolute blast of a time. You just pop up a seat in there, grab a few drinks, put in some requests for some songs, and get ready to hear some amazing stuff. It truly blows me away what the guys that are performing in there are able to do. You name any song and they are going to be able to play it. Or if they don't, they switch out throughout the evening and they go into a back room and they Google it, they learn the lyrics, they figure out the chord progression, and they come back out and play it. So, it just amazing group of musicians, and I assume all of us at some point or another have kind of stuck our heads in jelly rolls. So moving on, this is any sort of review of these resorts. It would be unfair not to talk about any cons or negatives, and that was something that we also wanted to throw in here that I think we've maybe not done enough of in some of our other resort spotlights. Because with any resort, no matter how many things that we can say favorable about it, there are some cons or some negative elements to it as well, or some things that need fixed. And I think one of the most desperate ones Ryan hinted to early on in the show, which is the kind of the mustiness or the old outdated feel of the Boardwalk Villas. Ryan, tell us a little bit about your thoughts and maybe a con or two or some negatives that have kind of deterred you from Boardwalk over the years.
Yeah, so I've stayed at Boardwalk, I think, 3 times. Each time it was in a deluxe studio. And when I stayed there, at least 2 of the times, the room had this very musty smell, like the air conditioning wasn't dehumidifying the room well enough. And I noticed even like our bath towels, if I didn't take the bath towels out of the bathroom, they would still be wet the next day when I would use them. And that kind of just grossed me out a little bit. And the bathroom always had a little bit of this almost like damp feel to it. And so I really hope the refurbishment that they're doing now will really be able to correct those issues. But that's what's kind of turned me off overall to Boardwalk because of those 2 times that I stayed there.
Yeah, and I can attest to sort of that damp kind of vibe as well. I think that they have, maybe it's an older HVAC system or something, but every time that I've been there, there's definitely been some issues related to condensation and moisture within these rooms. I'm pretty sure that if you got up into the ductwork of like the fans in the bathroom, there's not much air that's actually being moved through there because you can just tell it's an older system. And I, like you, am very excited for kind of the refurbishment that's coming to the resort here. They are planning to start that here later in 2023, near the end of the year, and then that's going to push into 2024 for that full refurbishment. But it is a full refurbishment, so hopefully they really get down to the nitty gritty and repair some of these things that it's an older resort. It needs it, and they just did a beautiful job of it over on the inside of the resort. And I don't know if you guys have seen some of the pictures of the rooms that are over there, but they look absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, they look great. The other thing you mentioned too was like you look at the thermostats, and the thermostats look like they're from the 70s or something. They're an analog thermostat, and I don't know if that has anything to do with how the HVAC works. Maybe it only is paying attention to temperature, and humidity isn't something that they look at, whereas maybe some of the newer ones do. I'm not sure.
Another thing that I think kind of gets chalked up in the cons segment or the negatives of Boardwalk is especially the elevator situation and the hallway situation when it comes to going all the way down that long. It's another corridor of death, as I call Kidani Village, but it has a profound effect when it comes to families that might have little kids or strollers and stuff like that. Lauren, I feel like you've experienced that a little bit recently, or we were talking a little bit before the show, and you kind of were nodding your head with that.
Yeah, so I guess it's something that's relatively minor, but I did realize that last trip when we were staying at the Boardwalk, basically there's no good way to get to the lobby except to go, if you're coming from like the Boardwalk itself, you'd come from the first floor where the pool area is, take the elevators up, and that's the only way to really get to the lobby, other than normally I'd just take the stairs up, but when we had the stroller with our son, that was our roundabout way of getting up there. So it wasn't terribly convenient, but it wasn't a huge issue either, I'd say.
We actually had a poll a long time ago on dvcfan.com, and I pulled some of the results from that and a couple others that just surrounded, kids and the accessibility or maybe the noise of the boardwalk. Some people commented that the boardwalk view can be loud in the evenings. They do play music out there, and there are people like Jeff headed into the Atlantic Dance Hall for some riffraff hour. So it could be, if you've got some kids that are trying to sleep or something, a boardwalk view might be something to steer clear of. We talked about the elevators. We talked about the stroller issues. I didn't know this one until I actually looked it up. There's no splash pad at Boardwalk Villas. So that's another one that is chalked up as a negative for kids. We talked about the lobby. When it comes to the dining options, this was a negative that we realized when we actually rode out a hurricane at Boardwalk, but there's no direct dining. So you do have to actually go outside the resort and down onto the boardwalk to get to any of the dining, even quick service dining.
Yeah. Or to refill your mug, your resort. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been another negative. And then also the fact that it's a 2042 resort. It is something that people are considering depending on, where you're at in your life. I feel like most people that buy into Boardwalk are choosing to buy that as maybe an add-on purchase rather than their primary purchase. People come to me all the time asking, should I buy this resort or that resort? And my question is always looking at what they already have and whether or not they have kind of a 2042 resort already. Because I think it's safe if you love Disney Vacation Club, if you want to make sure that you get into that property, have that 7 to 11 month booking window. It's safe to buy a 2042 resort. We're continuing to see those hold their value long term. But I would probably never say, have them all or have multiple 2042 resorts. And so that kind of could probably be chalked up as like a con or a negative aspect as well. Any other thoughts or any sort of negatives or things that maybe are not so favorable about Boardwalk?
I have one actually. Just in regard to any 2-bedroom villas, the Boardwalk only has the lock-offs there. So of course with availability, if the studio side is gone, there's no real 2-bedroom. So that could be tricky to book if you're really looking to mostly do 2 bedrooms.
Yep, that's a great point. And I know specifically with the lock-offs in general at the Boardwalk, I feel like the doors are not as new as some of the other Disney Vacation Club properties. And Amy, you even, we don't like loud neighbors. And so,
but on the flip side of that, because we do book studios more often than not, there are dedicated studios at Boardwalk, especially the ones I know for sure that are overlooking Village Green. So they're pool garden views, but they're overlooking the Village Green area. So you can see the boardwalk. Most of those studios are dedicated and they don't have that lock off door. And that's like one of my favorite places to stay. It's one of my favorite rooms, favorite views, favorite locations. And I love not having that lock off door. So because it is generally more quiet than when you have, neighbors that you don't know. One of my things that I always do is I will roll up a towel and kind of stick it under that door to kind of muffle, any noise. And I've also gotten used to when we travel in general that I make Paul kind of listen to it, but I use like a white noise app that is just sounds like a fan running. And I do think that has helped because, you can have, when you stay at a hotel room in general, you can hear people, you're sharing walls with people. That's just something that happens no matter what DVC resort you're at. So it always helps to have those ways to kind of minimize the sound. But I still love Boardwalk. I think there's so many great things. We've talked about the negatives, but there's just so many great things about it. The location, the dining, the theming. There's so many historic little cool things in the lobby. I love the Lucy the elephant that looks like the actual replica of the hotel, and the nanny chairs. A lot of people think that those are kind of creepy. But
Paul, the nanny chair.
Yeah, that they have names. If you turn them, if you look around the back of them, one of them is Paul and Carrie, and you might turn a corner too fast, and one will be staring you down. But I just think there's so many like cool little things like that, and the swimming pool. I miss the clown, but even without it, I like the pool. It's not Stormalong Bay, but there's still some great, great pool areas. The Villa's pool is just a nice, quiet kind of refuge that we've hung out at multiple times. But
I think Creepy Clown Slide is a great way to end this show. Going around the room, Ryan, love or hate it?
The clown slide in general, I think I would say hate it.
Poor Clown Slide. Lauren.
Kind of hate it. I remember we had one of those garden pool rooms that faced the pool slide. At night, it's kind of creepy.
No,
Did it?
I don't know if I
we've
miss
never-
it.
Yeah, we've never seen it at night. Did its eyes glow? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but it's kind of creepy when you're facing it.
Jeff?
That reminds me of an episode of The Simpsons when Bart had a clown bed that was going to eat him. But anyway, I never got to see it in person. I've only ever seen pictures. They swapped it out before I ever went there, so I'm really sad. So
I think
I
were
think
there.
I would love it, though.
I think we were
Creepy.
there when it was being like touted away in pieces.
Yeah.
I remember seeing pieces of it in the back of pickup trucks, and they were sawing that thing away.
Its head looked like the hair was made out of SpaghettiOs, and that's why I liked it. But
Spaghetti-O the clown. So
you know what? All joking aside, that is a great slide. You know
It
what I
is.
mean? Just I remember we were there during a hurricane when it didn't really come and there was hardly anybody there. And I swear I went down that slide like 10 times by myself. Paul was just sitting because, he's too mature apparently to go down the slide multiple times. But great
love
memories of Boardwalk.
Yeah, I love a good water slide, and that's one of the better ones. And the pool bar there, the carousel bar it's got a lot of seating for a poolside bar, I think. So,
yep. Awesome. Well, hey, that's our thoughts on the Boardwalk Villas over at the Boardwalk area. I hope you enjoyed it. There's no right or wrong answer. I think that everyone kind of has that resort that they love, but there are negatives to every resort as well. So hopefully we gave you a nice little well-rounded look at the Disney's Boardwalk Villas so that you can make a decision if you're looking to potentially buy, if you're looking to potentially stay there and book within the 7-month window. All of those are great options. And that's going to do it for us for this episode of the DVC show. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you all next time.